welcome back to my G1 Retro Reviews. Today we're taking a look at the original Transformers series episode, Make Tracks. In this episode, the Autobots go to New York City. Again. This time to bust up a Decepticon chop shop. No, not the Insecticon. I mean an actual chop shop. This episode begins with a shot of New York City, or at least what's apparently supposed to be New York City, as we see lots of signs with seemingly random English words on them. Like California.
California.
Astoria? Is that actually meant to be Astoria? Which is the name of the girl from the episode The Girl Who Loved Powerglide. Maybe this is foreshadowing? There's another sign that says Lai Fifi. Wait, oh, life. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. And there's also a sign that says Canadian. Ah, yes. Nice to see my home and native land get referenced in the Transformers cartoon. Even if it is kind of random. Did the animators literally just throw in every random English word that they happen to know? Well, let's move on with this episode. I know we'll see lots of other random and interesting signs throughout it. So we see a couple of street punks breaking into a familiar looking blue Corvette, which is of course my boy Trax. Aww. Okay, I can gush about how much I love Trax later. I can't just slide from one tangent into the next. Otherwise, I'll never get this video done. By the way, don't these two punks look familiar? Aren't they the two goons that get turned into Bebop and Rocksteady? I wouldn't be surprised, since this episode was written by David Wise, who also had a huge hand in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And both this episode and TMNT take place in New York City. So who knows? Maybe this is a sneaky Transformers and Ninja Turtles crossover. Hey, when are we gonna get that collaborative crossover figure, Hasbro? Where's our Turtle Van Transformer? So the punks drive Trax to a chop shop, where the Autobots surprise them and bust their operation. The Autobots return to Sparkplug's garage. Wait, Sparkplug has a garage? I thought he worked on an oil platform. Well, I guess he had to get a new job after the Decepticons destroyed it. By the way, these cars in the front part of the garage appear to be just normal cars. But I'd like to think that some of them are actually Autobots in disguise. Who knows? Maybe one of these pink ones is actually RC. Maybe she first came to Earth in the 80s and adopted an Earth alt mode. But then later, by the futuristic year of 2005, she had changed her alt mode to be a more futuristic car that matched the times. Aww. Now I want to see fan art of RC as an old 80s car. Trax likes hanging out in New York. He's definitely a city bot. I wouldn't blame him if it wasn't for the fact that it seems like people want to steal him every 5 minutes. Here, Trax meets Raoul.
No, don't! That wire's part of my primary electric grid. Oh, that's better. Thank you.
How come you shut down when I cut that wire, man?
That's the main cable to my computer. Without it, I'm just an ordinary car.
That seems like a major design flaw. This is something that I really dislike about G1. How often there's one little wire that can completely disable a Transformer. They're more than just machines, you know. They're sentient beings. But oh well. That's one of the quirks about G1 that they thankfully ironed out in future fiction. As the Autobots are searching for Trax, here we see another weird quirk of G1, and it playing with scale. As we see Hoist, a normal-sized Autobot, riding inside of Huffer, a mini-bot. So either Huffer grew, or Hoist shrunk. Probably both. So after Raoul fixes Trax, he in turn rescues him from a couple of thugs, who they follow. And while pursuing the baddies, we see them drive by a movie theater, with the title Transformers the Movie on its marquee. Now, we know that they were working on Transformers the Movie during Season 2 of the cartoon. So this could be a cheeky little Easter egg put there by the people working on the show to hint at the upcoming movie. I would like to think so. Although, I do wonder what this means in-universe. We know that there's the episode Hoist Goes Hollywood coming up, where some of the Autobots participate in the making of a movie, but not their own movie about themselves. Not like in the G.I. Joe episode, where they are actually making a movie about G.I. Joe. And then, of course, they would later have an actual G.I. Joe movie. By the way, I don't know where I'll get the opportunity to mention it again, but I absolutely adore CoverGirl in a tuxedo. I mean, I'm sure she'd look just as beautiful in a dress, but there's just something about seeing her in a tux. So, back to Transformers, who knows? Maybe the Autobots somehow made a movie about themselves off-screen telling their story. Man, I sure would love to see that episode.
Well, Raoul, hang on to your bobby socks.
Bobby socks? I've never heard of those. What are bobby socks? Is that a real thing? Yep, as it turns out, bobby socks are frilly women's socks. What is Trax trying to say about Raoul? Or maybe Trax just doesn't recognize gender. So, while I was looking up bobby socks, apparently the bad guys got away.
So we lost them. I don't see why you're so mad about it.
Because those crooks thought I was one of the Decepticons. Therefore, I assume they're dealing with the Decepticons for some reason.
Trax goes undercover as a stolen car, while Powerglide and Cosmos chase down Starscream. Aww, all my favorite cute boy bots in one episode. And while saving some people in an elevator, when Cosmos transforms, we can briefly see that he has a mouth. I guess he just has his faceplate up most of the time. Trax and Raoul follow the gangsters to the Decepticons, where they have their own chop shop. By the way, how do the Decepticons not recognize Trax? Even if he does hide his Autobot logos in vehicle mode, how many blue Corvettes with a flame decal on their hoods are there? Luckily, some of the Season 1 bots arrived to help Trax.
He's almost out of power. Who are you?
No, Sideswipe. Trust him. He's my friend.
Aww, Trax has a little friend. So cute.
So, Megatron's reconverting the stolen cars into vehicles that can drive on their own.
Alert! Optimus Prime! The Decepticon cars, they're here!
Did Teletran just stutter? He seems kind of out of character. Maybe this is actually Mainframe. So we see the Decepticons have turned the stolen cars into transforming smart cars.
They don't look all that smart to me.
There's no time to practice your ventriloquist act, Blaster. There's Decepticons to fight.
Let us stomp out these cheap imitations!
Again? This is what? The third episode this week that has referenced knockoff Transformers? What are the chances?
I'll teach you to mess with a Chrysler building!
At first, I thought this might be some kind of inside joke because Trax is a Corvette, but after looking it up, Corvette is made by Chevrolet, not Chrysler. So I don't know what Trax was referencing here. So the Autobots figure out that the cars are being remote controlled, and they go back to the Decepticons' plant to destroy it. Raoul is briefly captured, but he frees himself by spraying paint in Megatron's stomach. Yuck. The Autobots demolish the Decepticons' building, and they are left with the job of converting the remaining 500 cars back into the normal non-transforming variety. And Raoul is reluctantly coached into helping by his new buddy Trax. Aww. Well, this was a pretty good episode of Transformers. Obviously, it features Trax, one of my favorite G1 Autobots. But I think the real star of this episode is the scenery. New York City is drawn beautifully, if not 100% accurately. And the city is just brimming with random signs and stuff, some of which contain actual real-life brands, like Adidas, Ford, and we even see one that says ABBA. So be sure to let me know what you thought of this episode of G1 down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you here next time for the next episode of the original Transformers series, Child's Play. Ugh. So we follow a Trax episode with what is probably the worst episode in the entire series. Maybe even the worst episode in all of Transformers. I think I would rather watch the movie Child's Play, and that gave me nightmares as a kid. Well, maybe I'll see you back here next week for that one. I don't know. I wouldn't blame you if you skipped it.